An automotive media CEO goes on TV and says that it is going to be difficult to have a Cybertruck start at a low price. He thinks initially maybe it will start at about $80,000, but he loves it. Just like I love this, whatever this thing is. But he says eventually Elon is likely to get it down to $40,000.
Yes, there's this beautiful $40,000 truck idea that nobody can actually achieve, because your Ford F-150s, your Rams, all these trucks are really going to have to be $50,000 to $60,000 to get into it, and you could spend up to $100,000. They said, Musk said in 2019, 3.5 years ago, that it would be $39,000. I think eventually, like they did with the Model 3, they'll have a $39,000 truck, but initially, if they want to do 3 or 4 motors, I would say they would be lucky at $75,000. I think you'll probably be in that range. And the way they'll say it is, hey, I know we talked about that $39,000 truck. It's coming, but if you want the fully loaded 4 motors, it's going to cost you $80,000. That's my guess.
Initially, Elon said that you could get a Cybertruck that's rear-wheel drive with 250 miles of range for $40,000, and it would be able to do 0 to 60 miles an hour in 6.5 seconds, which for a truck, that's pretty fast. And then for $10,000 more, you were supposed to get all-wheel drive, and then 4.5 seconds 0 to 60, and then for $70,000 you were supposed to get a tri-motor all-wheel drive with 500 miles of range, and it was supposed to do 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds, which is ridiculous for a truck. Interestingly, Chevy is going to have a truck, probably next year is what they are saying, that will have 450 miles of range. And that range is EPA certified, so that seems real. We don't know the exact size of the battery, but it could be maybe 200 kilowatt hours, although it's not clear. This Chevy truck would have 350 kilowatt hour charging, but we know Cybertruck is going to have pretty fast charging. That's where it could also really stand out. If this makes it to production, the Cybertruck will be about 3 times faster when it comes to charging speeds than that Chevy truck, which would be really impressive. But we don't know about Cybertruck's pricing yet, and Tesla is likely going to wait until last minute to announce the pricing for the Cybertruck. So we might need to wait until the end of September. Electric is guessing that Tesla will not offer the rear-wheel drive version, and the cheapest all-wheel drive version will be $10,000 more than promised, and then the tri-motor is going to be about $5,000 more, but instead of having 500 miles, it will have 400 miles. And then he's guessing that Tesla will add a quad motor all-wheel drive with 450 miles of range that would do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds, which would start at $85,000. I think one thing is really clear, and that is Tesla will try very hard to make sure that the prices are under $80,000 if at all possible, because if Tesla sells over $80,000, then Tesla will not get the $7,500 EV tax credits. And almost certainly Tesla will start with the most expensive trim, because that trim is probably going to make the most money for Tesla, so it makes sense to do that. But eventually, just like the Motor Trend CEO said, Tesla will probably get down to $40,000 eventually.
You know, we do independent research as well too, and 78% of the people who are in the marketplace right now are very interested, right? Very interested in getting into an EV. And then within the next 5 years, we predict that about 50% will definitely or very likely be inside an EV. All of us, all the people who are watching right now are saying to themselves, all right, I know I'm going to get an EV. Is it the right time? I don't know about the range anxiety. I don't know about, how I'm going to charge it. Is it affordable? But everyone knows that they're going to be inside of an EV soon.
5 years from now, that's 2028. He's probably not too far off. I can't believe that there are still analysts out there that think that in 2030, the EV adoption is only going to be about 30%. China and Europe are pretty close to that 30% number already. I don't think these analysts are morons, but some say that the research that these analysts produce says otherwise. Speaking of morons, Omar says, I'm pleased to announce that Elon and Tesla management are no longer total morons as the stock is up slightly. Next time stock goes down slightly, they will be morons again. And with Tesla stock, the next time is almost certainly going to come, although that next time may be after we reach all-time highs again. I think largely this is how analysts work. They look at other people's work and it's like, oh, you got something good here, let me take some of that. That's how many of them probably get their EV adoption number. So what do you got here? 30% by 2030? Good. We're gonna go with maybe 35%.
The data you guys publish, and the usual suspects are up there in terms of the top search models, right? Tesla Model 3, the Ford Mustang Mach-E, etc. But recently you guys said the Rivian is the most popular EV searched overall on Motor Trend. You guys do a lot of, have that car shopping tool. What do you think is going on there?
Well, Rivian was our truck of the year last year. Lightning, Ford F-150, another truck, another EV, is our winner this year. So the trucks are extraordinary, and the Rivian, which I've driven, and the Lightning, which I know you've driven as well too, and then we'll talk about the Cybertruck, which I've been in as well, which is an experience. But the Rivian is extraordinary. I mean, it's 4 motors, right? Many of these trucks are 1 or 2 motors, right, to be able to do what they need to do that workload and how much battery you need. But 4 motors, you feel it immediately. I think they've done a great job with the regenerative brakes, so that's that feeling of being able to really one pedal a car. I'm so used to 3 pedals, you know, with a manual. I don't know if any of you have driven manual, but now you're down to 1 pedal.
This guy has.
Yeah, you can go from end to end and never touch the brake. And the Rivian is really extraordinary. I think the design kind of, yeah, I don't know how about you, but every time I see the design, I think it's pretty incredible.
I go to their website just because I'm interested. What other EVs do they think are great? And turns out that the best electric car is a Chevy Bolt. And number 2 is a Kia. Really? And the number 3 is a Nissan Leaf? Are you serious? Maybe you can say it's one of the cheapest vehicles, but the best electric vehicle? That just does not seem right at all. And then I scroll down, they have a category for best electric SUVs, and the Hyundai Ioniq is number 1, the Kia is number 2, and the Ford Mustang is number 3. Tesla is nowhere to be found here. Look, I keep scrolling down and I can't find the Tesla. There's Volkswagen, another Nissan, Chevy. Where's the Tesla Model Y? Turns out that the Tesla Model 3 is a compact luxury vehicle, and that's where it's number 1. I thought that the Model 3 was midsize, and that's what Wikipedia says, and in Europe it's considered a large family car actually. And here's where I have a huge problem with this. If you had another category of, let's say, economy cars, and you want to make the Chevy Bolt number 1 there, okay, whatever. If you want to put Tesla in a compact category, go do it. But then if you have a category of best electric cars, that means you should include every single car, whether it's economy or luxury or whatever. It's almost like a company that talks about cars gets paid by other manufacturers because they advertise there and Tesla does not yet.
So let's talk about the design of the other one that you mentioned.
The other one.
And viewers will know I am skeptical about the Cybertruck. And when you look at the audience that wants a Rivian or a Ford F-150 or a non-electric pickup truck for that matter, is that the audience for this thing? It doesn't feel to me like it would be.
Well, people have counted Tesla out many, many times before, and they keep coming back with these interesting and affordable types of vehicles.
Is that an attractive car? Tell me, Alex.
Yes. I think in a dystopian world where, you know, the road warrior is behind you, I think you'll need that truck.
Is that the world we live in?
On wheels.
I like it. I'm sure I'll get a lot of hate mail for that, but I love it. I think I agree with you. I think from a design point of view, it's very polarizing, and I think a lot of people just won't simply want it. They want to do the work. The Ford 150, whether it's a Lightning, an electric or not, is the #1 selling automobile, period, for a decade, right? So I don't think they're going to lose that market share, but I think the Cybertruck, you know, Musk has done a nice job of surprising us. He said it would have 3 motors, and Rivian comes along with 4 motors. I'm sure they'll have 4 motors. And that truck is a lightning rod, but I think they will do well with it. They're doing extremely well with the semi trucks, right? So I would never count Musk out in that way. But I agree, maybe it doesn't suit you.
It's almost as if he said, you are not cool enough for the Cybertruck, although I don't think that's what he meant, but it sort of sounded like that. I read over 1,000 books, and one of the books I read was A Blue Ocean Strategy, although that one was pretty boring when I read it. But it does have a really good concept, and that is, if you create a new market for yourself, if you compete in a market that you yourself created, you will be competing in a blue ocean that is not bloody yet. That will make the competition irrelevant. You will create and capture new demand, and you will break the value-cost trade-off because there's nothing else on the market like this. If you are an entrepreneur, definitely get this book, although I didn't find it that interesting, but it does have important concepts in it. And if you are not an entrepreneur, good for you because you don't need to read that book. Although maybe one of the reasons why I wasn't that much into that book is because I already read a few hundred books before reading that one, and it didn't feel like it was anything groundbreaking for me, but other people were speaking about the book as if it was the biggest breakthrough that we ever had, so maybe I just had very high expectations and I was let down by the book. If you are trying to make a few $1 million, I don't think you need to read as many books as I did. You probably only need maybe 100 or even less than that, depending on what you do, really. If I could do it all over again, I would probably just read maybe somewhere between 100 to 250 books, because after that, things just get a little bit repetitive, and then after that, I will only read books that are specifically on the subject that I am interested in at that time. Maybe I should make a few videos about the best books I've read. If you're interested, leave a comment down below. And in this video, I talk more about Tesla starting to advertise. My name is Matt Post. Just like and subscribe if you haven't yet, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching.